And if anybody can take anything from this club, then it's seriously keep at it, because it changes your life. It really does.
Welcome back to Lose to Win, the podcast with myself, Jack. We got Ben, and we have a very special guest this week in Josh's absence, Super Mike Welch. How are you doing, gentlemen?
All good, thanks, buddy. Nice to have you back.
Yes,
Nice
it's
to
great
hear
to be
your-
back. It's really
your
good to be
change.
back. Thank you.
And great to have Mikey with us. Mikey, you there?
Yes, we're here.
Here he
We're
is,
here.
here
Thanks
he
for having
is.
me, guys. Looking
Pleasure,
forward
mate.
to it.
Absolute legend of Man v Fat Bournemouth, by the way. I put in our group just before we started, anybody got any questions? And it was more statements than questions, and every statement was, what a legend, what a hero. Neil and Ryan Puttick messaged me separately going, he's been an absolute legend, a really good friend of theirs, and somebody that you can trust and have a conversation with and just get on really well with. And Ryan did ask me to bring up, actually, as a jokey question, but he's like, Mike seems to try a little bit harder on Tuesdays against me. Why can I never get past him? Something along those lines. And I think he's got an axe to grind with you a little bit about how good you are on a Tuesday against him.
Well, we have our good battles, me and Ryan. He's a good lad. He's a good lad.
He is.
Yeah, we just like try to get by. He's he stands his ground. I'll give him that, but
He does.
For a little fella.
It's a nice feeling when you get by him. But when you put him in goal, he's just another level. His goalkeeping is unbelievable. What a guy!
Pretty good.
And both of you are half the sizes that you were as well when you
quite.
both started as well. So that's testament to you both tracking each other in terms of your on the pitch and off the pitch. So yeah, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So what we do, Mikey, I know that you're a regular listener, but there'll be people that are listening to this for the first time. So Mike is a member of the Man v Fat Bournemouth Football Club that we all do on a Friday night. And we've got you on because you've done some incredible work and really changed your health and life around in a relatively short space of time. Similar story to what we have in our group around some incredible achievements, but each of their own different story to tell. And what we wanted to do, if it's okay with you, is have a bit of a deep dive into that. But first things first, we'll get stuck into the Man v Fat roundup, if you're okay in doing that, Ben, in Josh's absence.
Absolutely, yep. Sadly, Josh is not able to be with us this week, so the honour of doing the roundup has been left to my good self. So the roundup for last week, it's been a bit more like it this week. So where we've been lacking a little bit in collective weight loss, this week we managed to collectively lose 15.4 kilos, slipping away from our frames like a snake shedding its skin, or Jordan Henderson rushing to get out of Al Ettifaq. So loads of individual triumphs to celebrate. So 46 of us managed to lose some weight this week. So that's great. Over 3/4 of the league. And some solid team performances too. So here are the results from last week. Our Mighty Blues 9, Super Whites 11. So they pipped us there. Purples 9. Yeah, purple. Your purples, Jackie 9. Reds 6. So good win for you boys. Yellows 10. And the Super Greens that just keep marching on are 12. That's Mikey's team at the moment. And blacks 9, oranges 12. So another win for oranges. So greens and oranges, they're the boys that are pushing the top of the league at the moment. So well done, you guys. So the greens again, biggest losers last week, with 8 out of the 9 members losing weight for a total team loss of 4.4 kilos. So yeah, well done, greens. They just keep going, don't they?
We do. Pushing every week. Every week we're pushing.
So you had a narrow win against the Yellows, which leaves you one hand on the main league, 4 points clear with just 4 points left to play for. So a healthy advantage in goal difference means that Oranges need some big results and everything to go their way if the Greens are to be denied. So perhaps the Scales League is a bit more realistic target for the Oranges. They're tied with the Greens on 19 points with every loss counting for the final run-in. 4 teams still in with a chance on the Pitch League title, with Blues and Purples. Blues on 17, Purples on 16, and the Oranges and Yellows both on 14 points. So that's pretty close. That's going to go down to the wire.
It is, yeah, very close.
Be interesting. I think it's been really close this season, though. We were talking about it last week a bit, and definitely feels like the teams have sort of evened out, and the on pitch and weight loss. I know Greens and Oranges are pretty far in front with weight, but it feels like it's been a bit even, which is good.
Yeah.
10 men went into the last man standing last week. 9 remaining once the smoke had cleared, all scoring a bonus goal for their team. Jet Gander is the odd man out, unfortunate to exit the competition because he was unable to attend it this week, which is a shame. Tim Winrow also absent, but stayed in the contest because he still had his grace week. So with 2 weeks left, 3 of the 9, Tom Marks, Ravnath and John Costa, still have their grace weeks intact, which is nuts, with 2 weeks to go. And I think the first milestone came as well. So Matt Young, he was the first milestone of 2024, joining the prestigious 15% club and moving into within 1 kilo of hitting his maintenance. Wow.
Brilliant effort.
Yeah. A well-timed achievement, as well as the 3-goal bonus turned a potential defeat at the hands of the Blues into a narrow win for Matt's Whites. Damn it.
Yeah. Every bit counts, see? What a guy.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well done, Matty. I mean, fair play to him. He's lost 14.7 kilos since joining Man v Fat, and half of that this season alone. So, yeah, 7.3 kilos this season. So, fantastic work, Matt. Well done, mate.
Stuff. Brilliant.
Now, see if he can push on to hit maintenance and stay there. That would be awesome.
Definitely.
Okay,
Am I right in thinking that the Greens could win the league without winning the weight loss or the pitch league?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, because they're scored differently. So that would be really quite rare, actually, if a team wins the overall league and then a different team wins the weight league and then a different team wins the pitch league. I know we don't celebrate the pitch league, but obviously from a competitive point of view, we're all quite keen on it. But yeah, different team for each one potentially.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which goes to show what a mammoth task it was for the Blues to win all 3 last season.
Oh, God.
Yeah, freak season. Freak season. Yeah. Don't worry, it's not always like
that. No. Okay, right. So listen, there were quite a lot of hat tricks as well. 17 players completed hat tricks. And Charlie Rees, a recent star guest on here on the podcast, he leads the team of the week with a hefty loss of 2.5 kilograms.
Brilliant, Charlie.
Which is massive. Well done, Charlie. Jamie Crispin is the only player left to keep his place from last time, continuing his excellent start to his Man v Fat journey. So here is the lineup for team of the week. We have got Charlie Rees, 2.5 kilos. Christian Bullpit, 2.2. Well done, Christian. Tom Marks, 2 kilos. Another massive loss. Well done, Tom. Phil Haley, 1.9. Nice one, Phil. Jamie Crispin's there again at 1.8. And, of course, Super Ollie Wentworth, he's there again with 1.8 kilos as well. So, massive. Well done,
guys. Brilliant.
Doesn't fuck about, does he?
No. Bonkers. So that this week's 15.4 kilos puts us at just under 140 kilos, or 3 and a bit Kylies. We like to use that as an analogy. And our pre-Christmas target of 200 kilos is still possible, but looking like quite a big ask. So whether we hit that goal or not, it doesn't matter. The important thing is keep sticking to good habits, doing what makes the weight come off at the right pace for you. And remember, this is all about lifestyle change, long-term sustainable weight loss. We got this. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excelente. Yeah, great. So, I mean, crikey, 140 kilos. So that's 60 kilos to potentially try and lose in the next 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks left of this season. So, 30 Ks away. Yeah, I really feel like it has. We were talking about this, and I can't believe we're at the end of the season already. I feel like we've just kind of started this sort of rotation of players. So yeah, but it does go quick. I think not having a cup actually makes a difference as well, because obviously the season lasts a bit longer.
The extra teams,
yeah. So of course, Mikey here, the captain of the Super Greens, this season's front runners at the moment. So you boys are having a great time, mate. How do you feel about it all?
Fantastic. How much can I get away with bigging them up without getting told off?
Don't go too far because you've got to give it a couple of weeks.
Do half of what Ben does and it's still too much.
Honestly, guys, I couldn't be more proud of that team. Seriously, the weight that them guys have shifted this season is just unbelievable. Like, they're so motivated. You know, the chat is so live all the time, and everyone's, you know, if someone's slipping a bit, everyone's straight on them saying, right, you know, that's it, change this. This is it this week. You know, get back on it.
Because you've all been really consistent. Like, every week, everyone's losing. Everyone is losing every week.
It is, and you can see the difference, like the mentality of the guys where they've lost as well in the week. You know, like, oh, you know, I've lost this week, lost this, and it's just fantastic to see. You know, because like you said, at the end of the day, we're here to lose weight, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, and there's percentages flying about everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
And obviously, this Friday we're gonna win the league. So there you go. It's out there.
Well, you thoroughly deserve it, mate. And I've got to say, for you as well, if for someone who's been around since the beginning, if for you to get to, what are we, season 7? I want to say, or is it 7 or 8?
7.
8 must be season 8. I think.
Track, yes.
Yeah, I think we're season 8 because we're the second season into the third rotation. So yeah, season 8 we are, and you've been there the whole time, and we know. I mean, you're going to tell us that what your journey has been, but for you to be their captain in that team must be really, really good for you, and you must be quite a proud moment for you.
Yes, definitely. I've come a long way since the start. You know, I when I first joined the club, I was sort of kind of a bit shy, didn't know what to expect. A mate of mine, a very good friend of mine, is in the Newport League, and he plays in that. And obviously, he said, "Look, Bournemouth are going to be starting the league up. You know, why don't you join it?" Because obviously, I need to do something about my weight, because later on in life, I would have suffered with it. So obviously, Bournemouth League started, come into it, you know, met all the guys, and it's like, right, everyone's in the same boat, and it started off slow for me. With the weight, it really did. There's weeks where I was sort of up and down, and there's no consistency with me. And I was like, then it come to Christmas, in the first year we started, and I enjoyed Christmas, and I come back to the club after it, and I had 3.6 kilos, and I was like, without like even trying, I was like, how have I done that? And then it just clicked for me. And since then, I went on a massive weight losing spree with the Reds, who we started off with. And from then on, it's just been the journey for me, you know, every week. Yeah. Just once you get that mindset into it, you just go full on at it. You know, you think, this is going to change my life, you know?
Yeah. You did have a little spate of illness, didn't you? You managed to find yourself in hospital, I think, didn't you, with I think it started as a cold. You probably tell me right. It started as what you thought was a cold and ended up feeling pretty unwell, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was started off, like you say, as a cold, and I was like, oh, all right, you know, it's just a cold, get over it. And then I played football one Tuesday night. Josh might remember, and I wasn't feeling right, and I had no energy, and I had to stop and stand to the side. You know, because I couldn't do anything. Do you remember that? Yeah, and I couldn't do anything, and I was like, "This isn't right. What's happening?" You know. Anyway, the days went on, and I got worse and worse. Went home from work, which is very rare for me, and just went straight to bed. And it turns out I had glandular fever.
Right.
And I was waking up at night. It's like sweating. And I was like, what is going on? And after some blood tests and that, it turned out to be glandular fever. So I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
No,
it is horrible.
Out, doesn't it?
It's horrible because you've got such a sore throat and you can't eat or drink anything because your throat hurts that much. You cannot physically swallow anything.
That's quite a good weight loss
Yeah, it was a week. I think I lost like 5 kilos in a week.
Jesus.
When I come back. Yeah, and I was like, everyone was like, "Oh, well done, that's brilliant." I was like, it wasn't planned, you know.
Yeah, probably not the most healthy way to do it.
No, but we got over it thankfully, and it took a long time to get my strength back up from that. It really did. You know, speaking to other people that have had it in the past as well, and they said, you know, it could go on for months.
Yeah,
trying to get your fitness back up. But I am back up to it now, so.
Yeah, because I remember speaking to you post kind of your glandular fever and you feeling unwell. You were explaining that you're non-stop all the time, like you mentioned then with work. It's very rare for you to take a day off, and the amount of football you were playing and what you were doing. I think there might have been an element of it all catching up with you a little bit as well, wasn't it? I think there was because you're so full on all the time. It does catch us all up, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, my job, it doesn't help me because I drive lorries for a living, and I start early in the morning because the quarries that we get the stone from, they start at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm always up at 3:30 most days, and in work for 4. And obviously, when we play on a Tuesday and Thursday, as you know, by the time we finished and I get home, have a shower and get to bed, it's like 11, quarter past. And I'm up again at 3:30, and I mean, I'm my own fault for doing it, but I enjoy it. So, you know, you got to do it. But yeah, it does catch up with you in the end. By the weekend, you're absolutely hanging, you know, but you just got to get up and keep going, really. So, yeah.
You get yourself in a bit of a cycle, don't you? And I think, like you're saying, you're on the road, working all the time, and then burning the candle at both ends, really. And it's it might have been your body. I know a lot of people say this, but it might have been your body kind of giving you a heads up to take a second and relax for a bit. Those things can happen. But in terms of your achievements and what you've done, what do the numbers look like? What have you lost? Do you know off the top of your head where you are in terms of your total loss and whatever else?
So when I started at the club, I was 142 kilos, which in old money is about 22.5 stone, I think.
Right.
The maths. So I'm now 15 stone.
15?
Wow. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, mate. It's like, because you're a tall guy as well. You're quite, you're What height are you? 6'2", something like that?
6'2".
That's a guess.
Yeah. So it's a good guess. I'm 6'2". So obviously I'm.
So you lost 7 stone.
Yeah.
Holy shit, mate. Well done,
amazing,
buddy.
Isn't it?
That is an amazing achievement. Yeah. Incredible.
I feel so good for it. I was saying to the guys in the chat the other day that I'm a chairman of a steam society club that we run at Blandford.
Oh, okay.
Every year we have a steam rally for that. And we have an annual dinner and presentation evening. Obviously, being the chairman, I have to like stand up and do a speech, which I hate, but I have to do it. And this time we had it a few weeks ago, and I felt sort of comfortable, you know, because I thought I'm not that like fat person stood up giving that speech, and I didn't like myself who I was, but now I actually kind of like myself and don't mind like photos and that, and it was a really good feeling, really good feeling, and you know, if anybody can take anything from this club, then it's seriously keep at it, because it changes your life. It really does. And people comment on it, you know, everywhere you go. If you haven't seen someone for a long time, you're like, "Cool, what have you done? Where's all that weight gone?" You know, and it's such a nice feeling to have people say that to you, you know.
Well, you've certainly transformed, mate, and you can see that from, as you say, when you first joined, you were very quiet, very timid, didn't really speak a lot to people. You just kind of turned up, got on with it. But I think everyone, I can when I say this, I speak for everybody that says you've really come out of your shell the last year or so, and you're just a pleasure to be around, mate. Absolute pleasure to play against, pleasure to play with. Thanks, and I know you're a super popular guy at the club, so bravo, mate. Honestly, seven stone is unbelievable. Do you see yourself going a bit further, or are you happy where you are now?
Well, I'm about 6 kilos, I think it is, top of my head, off of my 35%.
Wow.
So I'm going to try and push to get to that.
Nice.
But I don't think I'll go much further than that, just because of how tall I am, and I think I'll start to look the wrong way. Too thin, if you can say that. But you know, I mean,
we talk quite often about BMI and whether it's slightly outdated in the way that it's calculated. I mean, I think the general consensus is it's a good guide. It's a good guide to where perhaps you should be. But I think people know their own bodies and they know where their sort of comfortable weight is, and whether you know, like myself, I'm quite short, but I've always been quite kind of stocky, you know. So if I get too thin, I get a bit gaunt, and I know that, and some people are the same. So, and some people don't. They look much better when they get much thinner. So, you know, I think it's horses for courses, and as long as you are comfortable with where you are, and you are fit and healthy, and like you say, you've got your confidence back and you're happy, I think that's the key, isn't it? That's kind of the grade. Get to the point where you are happy with where you are at. So
it is
6 kilos, mate, outstanding. If you get, I mean, that's something else. 35%, mate. That's a third of your initial body weight.
I'm determined to get there.
Mate, we can see that.
Yeah, you'll do it, mate. Easy.
Yeah,
we will get there. But it's like, another thing. If you went into a, you know, to buy clothes in a shop, and I was borderline 46 waist when I was at my peak, and now I'm down to a 36, pushing on a 34. And to walk into a shop and be able to pick up something off a rack and it fits you, rather than going in a shop and hunting around for it. That as well is just such a good feeling.
It's weird as well, isn't it? Because it's such a normal thing.
Yeah.
Just to go into a shop and try on a pair of trousers and go, oh, they fit, right? And buy them.
Yeah. And people don't look at you like, you know, don't look at you at that person. Think, oh, look at him. You know, he's a big bloke. And there was a picture as well of, I will mention this, that my sister took of me and stepbrothers. And I was massive in that. I won't lie. And I didn't like that picture, and I said to her, I don't want to see that picture. Don't put it up. You know, I don't want to see it. And that made me think, right, keep going at this, Mike. You don't want photos like that all the time.
Fair.
You know?
Fair. It's interesting. That's another thing that comes up quite often, is that people see pictures of themselves. I know, Jack, you spoke about it, and I know I spoke about it.
Yeah.
You see yourself in pictures and you go, Christ on a bike, what is that? Who is that person?
Yeah.
And that's
self-awareness, isn't it? Self-awareness and self-understanding. And I think that Ollie said it as well. Obviously, I wasn't here last week, but listen, and Ollie said exactly the same, didn't he? He said that he saw a picture, and it was kind of like that was the moment he realised. I think he said it was his lads' football presentation or something like that.
Yeah.
And that is exactly that. It's one of those realization moments, isn't it? And that's where one thing I want to ask Mike, and I struggle with myself, is the motivation behind it. So obviously you've seen the photos and you've gone, oh God, I hate that photo. Hate how it look. It's how do you get up? How do you get yourself to that point where you go, today I go again. How are you coping with that? And especially so far in now, do you think it's just become a new habit, a new way of life? It's new you, or do you think you're still having to go, still got to make the right decisions? I can feel myself, I'd like that Mackey's, but instead I'm going to have some fruit for lunch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where do you sit with that sort of thing?
Because obviously being an HGV driver as well, it's harder because you get bored. Say that, and you think, oh look, there's Greg, say, you know, I'll stop in there and get a sausage roll or whatever. But once you've changed your mind to stop that, and you think, you don't need that, Mike, you know, you don't need to go in there. And once you've got that in your head, then I'm fine. You know, some days I just have like an apple or something up till sort of dinner time, and then eat dinner at night. But I reckon because my stomach shrunk a bit, I don't feel as hungry. So if I mean, you were saying earlier, but I live off like the Pepsi Maxes and that in the day, drinking wise, and then just have, like say, apple or something like that during the day, and then the evening meal, and that's enough for me. That's plenty enough, you know. But if you can flick your mind over to get that mentality into you, then yeah, it's kind of plain sailing, really, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember the dark days? Remember the hard times?
Yes.
Where you were struggling for motivation, or kind of feeling hungry and really pushing yourself? Is that a good constant reminder for you?
Yes. Yeah, I do remember them days. They were hard. They were hard. Your body gets in a flow, doesn't it, when you're feeding it all this rubbish food. And I was having takeaways 3 times a month, you know, three Saturdays. And although I know it's spread out, but it's not good, you know. And if you can cut that out, I think, I'll make something instead tonight, you know.
Yeah.
You can change that, so then you ain't putting on the weight in the week. And if I put on a couple of kilos over the weekend, if I binge on the weekend, put a couple of kilos on a Monday, Tuesday, stand on the scales, I'm like, whoa, what have you done? You know, and then the mind flicks straight back into it again, and you push to get that loss again for the end of the week. Especially now, because I've got down to such a lower weight than I was, I find it so much harder to lose a weight every week. So I'll take a 0.1 loss on a Friday, you know.
Me too, bud.
Yeah.
You just get to that point, don't you, where it does seem to be a bit more difficult. But I think that goes. I think that's a lot of the guys who've lost a fair amount of weight have the same sort of issue. But I think it's like you say, though, you've come such a long way. You're now at a point where, you know, you do feel more comfortable, so you can sustain it. You know, you can sustain it. You know, you can do it. But to have that constantly in your mind, is it more of a habit now to not do that rather than do it? Because obviously, when we guys are bigger and we're just sort of doing whatever we want to do, and we're just shoveling food and cakes and drinks, whatever, into our faces, is it become more habitual now not to do that rather than to do it?
It has. I mean, I like you were saying earlier, I lead quite a busy life. So on a weekend, I'm always doing something. So it distracts me from eating. So there's always a big long list of jobs to do. So I kind of up and get on with it and send Ryan and Neil these silly Snapchats of the tractor that I'm driving a day or something, you know. and it kind of distracts me from it. So that helps. But I do treat myself still now and again. You can't cut it all out, because you need a day to look forward to. If you're constantly on it all the time and you've got no day to look forward to it, it gets boring, and then you can go the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, like this Saturday, for instance, we're going to the tractor show up Shepton Mallet. And then when we come back, he said, let's have a Chinese, because we can't eat, you know. By the time we get back, it's going to be too late. So we just get something in like that. But then you make up for it then the week after. You eat healthy and it clears it. So you can still treat yourself. You people that say, you know, oh, not having that. And no, you still got to do it. No.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think the way you're saying that is that, but that's kind of the mindset thing, isn't it? Because some people can have a takeaway and that's it. They fall off the wagon. That's them for the rest of the week. They're having a takeaway the next day, and the next day, they're just going, I've screwed it this week, so I'll just eat some more. Whereas being able to do that and then saying, do you know what? No, it's okay, because I'll do that and then I'll get straight back on it the next day. That's the mentality, and that's the winning kind of formula, I think. Not to beat yourself up, not to resent yourself for doing it, but just to go, do you know, I can do that and crack on. And it's clearly working for you, mate. So, you know, outstanding work, buddy. I'm really, really pleased for you.
What's your go-to healthy dinner that you kind of go, I found something that I really like here, and it's because I think, speaking to others, there's something that people often have a lot of that seems to work for them. It might be quite filling but low calorie and good balance of veg and protein and whatever else. Is there something that you've have you discovered new food or discovered things that you didn't realize you liked or whatever?
I like stir fry. Do like a stir fry. That's, you know, you just chuck it all in a pan, don't you, and cook it up. It's all vegetable.
Just a vegetable one, or
it's a bit of chicken.
Meat.
Bit of chicken.
Okay, bit of chicken. Okay.
Bit of chicken. That's nice. We have that sometimes. Spaghetti bolognese. That's another one.
Mhm.
And yeah, just general thing. If you go on, because my mum does Slimming World, and she brings home these recipes and that, so we try them now and again. But obviously on the nights I play football, I don't tend to have too much because I get severe indigestion and
I do too.
So,
makes me feel awful if I eat before and then I don't want to eat after because it's so late. It becomes a bit of a spiral, doesn't it?
Yeah. And time I get home from work and then get to football, there's no kind of time to prepare anything anyway. So you kind of get back and have a shower and you just go to bed. So sometimes you don't really have anything. You know?
What about, you're married, aren't you? Am I right in thinking you're married?
No. She wants to be, but no, not yet. No.
Has the future Mrs. Welch joined you on your journey? Is she healthier now because of what you're eating as well? And the way that you eat?
Yeah, she works different hours to me, so we kind of can't have the same food unless I stay around because obviously we don't live together yet. So I stay around a few nights a week and then back home when I play football. So no, we're not really. But we are planning on getting a house this year if all goes to plan, sort of around summertime. And then obviously I'll be home before her, so I'll have to do the cooking, which I don't mind. And we'll do meal plans. So we'll have like the whiteboard, which I'm sure a lot of people do, write down what they plan to have each day. And then you can create kind of a healthy lifestyle together with that.
Nice.
Yeah, at the moment it's kind of different for us both, but you know it will happen.
So it's quite difficult, isn't it, when you're like ships in the night and you're passing and you can't organise stuff like that. It is difficult. It's different when you live together, sort of permanently, of course, but you know the fact you're sort of there sometimes and not. You will find it when you move in together. Maybe a wee bit easier if you're doing a weekly shop and you can sort of plan it out and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool, man. When you plan on popping the question then? Is this one on air? Can we? Have we got an exclusive here?
She'll be listening to this, so I can't possibly comment. But there is plans. So I can't say any more than that. But
fair play, mate. Fair play.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She's great, Emily. She's a lovely girl. This is one of the best things that's happened to me. Bless her. So.
Oh, that's very sweet. She must be so impressed with your transformation as well.
Yeah, what does she say about it?
Oh yeah, she's like, oh, you got to stop now. You've done enough. Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm determined. She's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. And I say, oh, I've lost this week. Oh, okay, great, yeah, you know. Yeah, so she's been brilliant about it. Really, she's been rooting for me. She knows I didn't like myself, so yeah.
Well, I think one thing with it as well is that she's obviously been with you and supports you through where you felt your worst, and now you're both going to be feeling better because you're feeling better, which is amazing. So that's really important as well, isn't it? It sounds like you got a keeper as well, mate. So congratulations. But it's very much look forward to hearing about the news of new homes and proposals and weddings and kids and whatever else comes down the line, mate. You're fully deserving of whatever comes.
I have to get a new suit. Got invited to Charlie's wedding.
Yeah, you got a busy
you got to Charlie's, did you?
No, mate, I'm just winding you up.
Quick cover up. I like that.
All good things to come. All good things to come.
Brilliant.
One thing that we didn't do that we normally do at the beginning, it's a good way to kind of round up a quick chat with you, is to talk about your kind of footballing background and who you support, why you support. So if we go with who's your team to start with?
Chelsea. Chelsea supporter.
Ooh, at least it's not Man United.
Yeah, here we go. What are we stirring up here?
I forgive you.
Chelsea do enough to themselves to not even to be mocked anymore. I think I heard them saying this on Talk Sport. It got past the point of anybody kind of going because they've done so much so quickly and so badly. It is one of those ones that just seems to they invite their own trouble, really. But fair point. And why do you support Chelsea? What made you support them?
My uncle, when I was younger, my uncle took me to a game, and you watched it, and I thought, oh, this is all right, and it kind of just gelled from there. Really, I liked the way they played, and I just enjoyed it. So I was like, they're a good team.
What age were you then, mate? When was that?
I was a 10 then, so I was
What
like really, really young, 28.
So 18 years
coming
ago.
up 20. Yeah, well, coming up 28, 7th of February, just so everybody knows. If you want to buy me a present. Yeah, yeah.
That would have been when who was there then? Lampard, was that those days? Lampard, John Terry.
Yeah, it was, because
the glory days.
Glory days. I mean, the legend that is Didier Drogba. He is Drogba. The man, and he's got to be my all-time Chelsea man, really.
Right.
You got a touch of Drogba to you, mate. Your big bullish way up top.
Yeah,
I think there's definitely a relation to that for sure. Is that who your favourite player is it?
Yes, yeah. Drogba, he is favourite player of Chelsea. He's just a pleasure to watch him play, wasn't it? That team, just to name a few, Macaulay and that, they were all just gelled, didn't they? That team was unstoppable. And you look back at these, I don't know if you've watched it on the Sky and that, but the Premier League years.
Oh yeah, I love the Premier League years.
Yeah, and you look back at some of the games and you think, wow, those were the days. And then money took over, didn't it? And it's not the same now, is it? Football, it's a shame to say it, but money has ruined the game a little bit, in my eyes.
Certainly the Premier League, it has, definitely.
Yeah, and Chelsea were the main culprits for it. They were the ones that kind of started it. With Abramovich years, he started that. He just come in with all this money and bought these players, and
changed the landscape of football, really, didn't he? Especially the Premier League, for sure. I remember going up to Arsenal, God knows how long ago now, going up to Arsenal and last game of the season, and getting the train back with a mate, and the train was full of Chelsea fans, and you just won the league, and they were coming back from Stamford Bridge, and they all had their flags, and it was so demoralising. I wouldn't be able to live in the capital of a team like Chelsea or City lifted the Premier League. It must be so difficult to be around, but they were proper rubbing it in our faces, and I think that might have been the last time he had won the league, but he went for a spate of just some unbelievable, I think over like the last 25 years, if you look at that period, you're probably the most successful team over Champions League, Premier Leagues, FA Cups, everything else. It's just so consistently successful. It was unreal, and Mourinho obviously a massive part of that, and as you say, Abramovich changed the face of everything. So
he did. I mean, and we had some managers over the time as well, haven't we? They seem to keep their managers too long. But we've had some great managers. I mean, I don't know why they got rid of Tuchel. I could never understand that.
Money.
I think there was an element of him falling out with them as well. I think he kind of speaks his mind, doesn't he? And was Tuchel right at the end of Abramovich's time? He wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and they just took over. Todd Bowley took over, didn't he? And then, next thing he was gone. So obviously, like you say, they didn't gel, and then they just went downhill from there, didn't they? Because Tuchel was still winning stuff. He wasn't. Had
he
the
was
odd
a great
loss,
manager,
but
to be fair. I think there's it's the age-old thing, isn't it? It's got to give him time. And do you think they'll give Poch time? He seems to have turned it. I mean, that result last night was. I know it was only against Borough, but still, it's a League Cup semi-final. It
was really important, wasn't it?
It was.
The story of it really was the important part.
Yeah.
I
do you reckon they'll stick? Has he got a chance of staying? Because I think Poch is he's a top class coach, and he deserves time. I mean, the amount of players. I mean, we have briefly talked about Chelsea and the way that they've just brought in ridiculous amounts of players at the beginning of the season. It's a very American way to do it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Do you think they'll give him time, or do you think they'll, if they don't sort of buck their ideas up this season, he'll be out?
No. Knowing Chelsea, he'd probably go, wouldn't he? But I'd like to think they'd give him a chance, because you can't just be expected to come into a team and win everything straight away, can you? You've got to get to know the team and be hard on them and set them up how you want them to play.
Absolutely.
And
They got to
and
get
it
to know
takes
each
time.
other as well, really, haven't
Yeah,
they? If
yeah.
you think of how many they've brought in, and I think his track record at what he did well at Saints and what he did well at Spurs was the development of younger players, and I think
Yeah.
that he fits what Chelsea have. I can't see them challenging seriously for a couple of years, but if they stick with him and stick with the process that they've chosen to go down, then they're right in the right way. But you've got to find out at some point how they're able to spend as much they have with so many teams. We'll come on to it later, but so many teams not spending a penny now in fear of financial fair play.
Yeah.
You wonder how I know that they turned Mason Mount and Kai Havertz into 120 odd million. So there's a fair chunk of money that they managed to pull in from those two, especially with Mason Mount being 100% youth development player. So it's 100% profit on that. But it's an interesting time. I know that the Chelsea fans can be relatively unforgiving with time and wanting instant results and instant turnaround. And I think they've got to realise where they are now is where they are, and they've got to stick with it. I think if they change it again now, who do you go for if you get rid of Poch? You bring Mourinho back for his third time. What do you do? Like
Lampard again? Yeah.
Oh God, Lampard till the end of the season again.
Yeah.
Rooney, he'll be in. Get Rooney in, he'll do it.
The Yanks love him, don't they?
They do. I like the mad managers.
Don't you think like with this kind of fan mentality, it's a little bit similar to the United fan base where they're used to the glory days, they're used to being at the top of their game. So when they're not there, it's all doom and gloom instantly. But obviously it's a club in transition. So go on.
Yeah. Sorry, the difference with it's a term I keep hearing used about Man City and Chelsea, that if you look at them, they're relatively similar in terms of where they started and how they're doing now with the success, the similar sort of plane from when they were taken over to where their success sits now. They're considered, and the term I keep hearing is a manufactured team. They're not like an authentic team, if that makes sense. If you look at United through their history, makes them a big team, and they've deserved through their hard work in history to become considered the biggest team in the world, regardless of where they are in the league at the moment. Such as the history of Liverpool, Arsenal, the other teams. I won't mention the scum down the road, but do you get my point? I can understand that concept of people suggesting that the success was brought. It was still earned. It wasn't kind of organically.
They're not historically one of the sort of country's greatest clubs, I think is what you're trying to say. As in dating back over 150 years, etc., etc.
Exactly. But you always got the big four, ain't you? The big four is always going to be set there, isn't they? And
credit where credit's due. They've obviously done what they needed to do, and they've built that fan base. And the other thing is as well is if you look at, was there 10 predominant clubs in London alone? You've got to really work hard to get your fan base and get your team to where they are, and they certainly have done that over that period of time, and deserve to be considered a big team. Sorry, I've got hiccups. Deserve to be considered a big team now and a successful team. So it's,
absolutely, you can't take that away from them.
Interesting times ahead. I'm quite happy with them lingering around because they are a sleeping giant, and I think
this is it,
at some point they will wake up and show their teeth.
They'll be back. We'll be seeing them years
beat
again.
Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final. That'd be awesome.
Love beating Liverpool.
Bin dippers quiet, especially in finals. You love beating.
Yeah. Anything to beat Big Jurgen. He's it's a good feeling to beat him. He's some manager, isn't he?
Yeah, right.
He's doing all right, isn't
he? If we move on to a few bits and pieces, I know Josh has left some notes for us to go through, Ben. One thing that I had a little think about, funny enough, it came up in a conversation earlier between myself and my wife where we both agree we drink far too much Pepsi Max, and it we have it in the food shop regularly, and it just one of those things that we drink too much. So I thought about it. I thought I'd drop in the group, and I'm blown away by thinking it was just myself that kind of got myself a little bit addicted to this stuff. So I dropped into the Man v Fat Bournemouth group chat about do you drink, inverted commas, diet drinks, i.e. Diet Cokes, Pepsi Max, that sort of thing? And the options were yes, addicted, yes, occasionally, drink the full fat stuff, never drink it, and hate it. And the numbers are all in favour of how addictive this stuff must be, because there's 12 of us that consider ourselves addicted to diet drinks or diet fizzy drinks, and then you've got 11 people that drink it occasionally, and some of those are probably edging on the side of potentially addicted as well, not realizing. One person, I think, I'm not going to name and shame, but let me just check it is. Yeah, there's one person. Oh, he won't mind me saying. Alex Jones says that he drinks the full fat stuff.
Does
there's a few.
Naughty boy.
I'll have a word with him about that.
Yeah, that's naughty.
Yeah.
There's a few that never drink it. So Scott, Victor, and Charlie say that they don't touch the stuff. So it's very interesting. But
I've just voted.
Have you? Where did you go?
I'll just yes
what do you two vote?
What
about you? So it sounds like
yes.
you drink quite a lot of it then, do you, Mikey?
Addicted, yeah. I quite often get a big pack and have it in the lorry with me, and they're gone within a few days.
It's an interesting one though, because you're talking Pepsi Max. I mean, I don't like Diet Coke. Diet Coke's rancid. I can't drink it, but I drink Coke Zero. To be fair, I used to drink Pepsi Max, but I've switched to Coke Zero just because I prefer it. It's only 1 calorie. I think 1 calorie in a can.
Yeah.
So what's the bad stuff that's in there? Caffeine?
So the bad stuff is something called, I'll probably pronounce it wrong, but aspartame, something like that. Yeah. And it's so bad that it's actually banned in America. And they allow people running around with fucking guns. Yeah, they run around with fucking gun licenses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So why is it bad? Why is it bad? Educate us, Jack.
My understanding is that there's, and it's a lot to do around the addiction. I believe I haven't looked into this too much, so don't quote me on it. But I believe there's certain things that it's been accredited to around serious illnesses such as cancer, dementia. Also, in terms of conceiving children, I think there's issues around how it can pass on dangerous things to your children as well, and it's because it's all artificial sweeteners. So when it comes to sugar in certain amounts is fine. Natural sugar is, if you're going to have sugar, is the better sugar to have, really. And I think because it's low calorie and they're able to go zero, or say that it's zero calories or 1 calorie, as you said, I think there's kind of a stigma associated to it that it's absolutely fine. But anything that you can become addicted to, generally, unless it's running or something like exercise, it's not necessarily very good for you, is it? Addiction normally is something that's not good. So yeah, it is interesting and a concern. I will share some of the facts on the group chat and kind of fact check what I've said on here. But it's just really interesting to see, and it's myself and me more than my wife. My wife will just drink; she'll have it or take it or leave it if it's in the house. Where I will go, I want to go get a bottle. I want to go get a bottle. I'll go out just to get one. And you queue up in the little off license behind people who are getting beers and fags and stuff, and you're there with your bottle of Pepsi Max. It can't be that bad, but it's just a different addiction, a different level, isn't it? So that was interesting. The other little poll I put in there as well was about binge eating at the weekend. So I am guilty on a Friday evening. No matter what time we finish, I will get a pizza. I will get, not all at the same time, I may add, or a kebab or McDonald's or something. It's almost guaranteed.
On the way home, every night on a Friday, Jack.
There's been evidence. There's been evidence of this, Ben, on the group chat in the past. I've seen
Friday night no.
Sat there in the
I know the kebab. I know the kebab thing, and I don't think, to be fair, there's anything wrong with having a bite to eat on a Friday night, because the standard is no one really has dinner on a Friday before football.
Exactly that.
So you're hungry. But I often find after football on a Friday, I think about it. I think, do you know what? I'm going to treat myself tonight. I'm going to go find Mackey's on the way home or whatever. And then actually after the game, I'm like, do you know what? I don't fancy it now. Yeah. Like my vice on a Friday is a glass of wine. I will come home and I usually have, this you'll love this. I usually have some corn cakes with some cottage cheese on
Sounds
and a couple
awful.
of glasses of wine.
Yeah.
But weirdly,
Fair
because
play.
I always
How
think I'm
very
going to have a
middle class
burger. And
of
then
you.
I think, oh, mate, honestly, it sounds ridiculous. But I genuinely, I think, I'm going to have a burger tonight on the way home. And I never do, because I never really fancy it after football. So I always get home and go, what do I want? Oh, I fancy a glass of wine, but I'll have a little bit of cottage cheese. But
So
hey,
I don't drink alcohol unless it's Christmas or I'm actually going to a pub. I won't. I've got beer in the fridge from Christmas that probably won't be touched now until maybe Easter time, when my birthday is, probably maybe later.
fair play.
So I don't. Alcohol's never. It's not that I've ever had an issue with it. It's more that I just doesn't tickle my fancy at that point. But
Fair.
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And so I asked about the binge weekend. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
so
yeah, go on, sorry.
the options were yes, no, or sometimes. And would you believe it? Nobody put no. So it looks like
Good
we
lad.
all use
Everyone's
the
being honest.
weekend to
Yeah.
have something.
Honesty's
And then
king.
10 voted yes and 16 voted sometimes. So yeah, it's just an interesting. I don't know what made me think about chucking those in there. I think we might do these more regularly, especially if people can come up with them themselves, just out of kind of a public census to see what people are doing and what people think about things. And I think even if we all cut back maybe and halved our amount of Pepsi Max in 1 week, we might all see a difference. Do you know what I mean? That could really make a difference. And like you, Mike, I'm forever in service stations or something like that, and you've got a wall of drinks, and generally the water is at the bottom. And one thing that I resent, especially with the fucking water, is that you're paying like £2 for a bottle of Evian water or something like that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even more so in a service station, and then you can see all the bright lights and the flashing lights of all like the sugar-free monsters and everything like that, and you go, oh, go on then, two for £3 or so, two for £3.50 or something like that, and you kind of
Tease
like,
you, don't they?
hell. Oh, absolutely, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
and so my water intake is tiny against what everything else I drink. Occasionally I'll have a squash at home. I don't drink a lot of tea. Occasionally the wife will go, do you want a cup of tea? And I go, yeah, go on then. And I wait until it's lukewarm and drink it. I'm horrible like that.
On the opposite, on the opposite, I love tea. I drink tea for pastime, and water. I buy a 6-pack of 1.5 litre bottles of Evian or Buxton, whatever, and that's gone by the end of the week. I have that in the lorry. I
guess you're balancing out the amount of Pepsi Max you're drinking with the amount of water you're drinking. At least I'm not doing that either. I'm just relying on the Pepsi Max, to be honest. So that makes it makes
difference.
I need to really up my water intake, I think.
Yeah, you'll see the difference.
Water's key.
Yeah. You will see the difference, Jack. If you drink water, it kind of flushes your body out.
Yeah.
And you'll lose more in a week. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Excellent. So I thought I'd just share those little bits and pieces. We did ask for some questions in the chat. I think we'll sense check them with the new lad Dom, because there's a few in there that might be to rattle some cages, or whether he's being genuine or not. So I
don't know Dom well enough as to whether it's him having a laugh or he actually genuinely thinks this. I think you should throw it in there though, because it's funny.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the first one that's on here is that Gary Neville isn't in the top 10 right backs in the Premier League. Full stop. Discuss. So I don't know if he's poking a bear there or not. And I did have to laugh to this one. I did chuck the laughing emoji on it. Was Maradona actually a better football? Sorry. Was Maradona actually a better football? Any better? Sorry, get this right. Jesus Christ.
Go on, mate. Come on. You got this. You got it.
Was Maradona actually any better than Wilfried Zaha in terms of footballing ability? Now,
fair play.
This is where I smell a rat and ask if there is a little bit of winded up going on. I don't even think he's he might be a Crystal Palace fan, but I don't know where he is with this one. So yeah, we'll sense check these, and we'll especially with Josh back next week, we'll shut that out there and see what he says.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. If he's serious, that's a bit of a
Yeah,
This might
we
be
might
deadly
have to,
serious. We might be quite embarrassed by this. So fair play,
might have to
Dom.
get him on to explain. Maybe drop a voice note in
Well, he
in
only
the chat
joined.
to
He only
explain.
joined last week. He only joined the Super Blues last week, and he already listened to the pod because I put the pod in the group and said, "Have a listen, guys," and he listened to it. And he loved it. Couldn't get on board with Hendo going to the next tournament though. So fair play. So it could very well be serious, and that might be a very serious discussion. We'll have to ask him on Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I heard he's a handy footballer as well. Just to
He's a good lad.
Armoury.
Out there on the right. Yeah. Did all right. Had a couple of pops. Didn't manage to get one on his debut, but yeah, he did well. Bless him. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Good addition.
On the subject of new members, Steve announced in the captain's chat today that everybody has got a minimum of 10 players now, which is
Amazing.
really, really good stuff. There seems to have been a little bit of a lag for the January joiners, but they certainly have picked up momentum now, and we've got a considerable amount of returners. But we've also got some new members, such as Dom, as you mentioned there. I've managed to persuade one of two brothers to join. So my older brother Luke has joined the Super Purple. So
good lad.
We are a team of brothers now, because we've got Ed and Tomo and me, me and my brother Luke on it. And we're working on George. George's got a few things that he needs to sort out first before he's available on a Friday evening, and hopefully I can twist his arm enough to come and join us. He's getting married. We're off on his stag do in May, and he's getting married later in the year. So hopefully it gives him a little bit of extra to work towards. He is absolutely smashing it at the moment himself, though. He's turned a corner with his diet and everything, so he's on it full time at the moment anyway. So I'm hoping if he can get involved with the Man v Fat football as well, it will help inspire him and keep him going.
Yeah,
we've all got suits to get into.
Exactly. Well, there's no better incentive really for something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact we're now up to what we're now, so that's got to be 80 plus players now, 80 plus members at the club, which is fantastic.
Makes you wonder why we've got 80 people listening to this every week, doesn't it, Benjamin? Some people out there, some bastards.
Well, half of them, half of them, they don't know how to work a phone, do they? So
have to get Ryan tech support to help them.
That's strong.
Get the whippersnapper to help them.
Yeah. No, but they should do. You're right. They should be listening. It's important.
Yes. Listen, share. I'll drop it.
Share.
We'll drop it in a group every time. But yeah, share with your teammates. Get them to listen to it. Get them to hear the amazing stories. Hopefully, keep them coming back every week. Yeah. That's the big thing.
Or we'll set Neil on you. We'll set Neil on you otherwise.
Exactly. Get Chopper
Neil
on you.
Watch your ankles.
Legend that man is.
What else? Absolutely. What else is on the list then, Ben? What else is?
Okay, so football topics. Okay, so we were going to talk a little bit about transfers and why we think that the transfer window has been relatively quiet so far. The only sort of name to date really of any note really is Phillips, who's gone obviously from City over to West Ham. So. What do we think? You think it's FFP holding teams back? The players out. There are players out as well. Don't forget. You reckon it is FFP? Because there's been obviously the whole Everton getting dock points has sent a few waves across the league. So it shows that there is intent to come down quite heavily with clubs that deem to be in trouble. We'll see what happens with City, but that's potentially a problem. Obviously Chelsea are in a bit of trouble as well from that point of view. So. I guess it could be, and Forest are definitely going to be in trouble. If Forest get relegated, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I think it seems as if FFP's doing the right thing at the moment by the looks of it, because these teams are clearly concerned about breaching any rules and making sure that whatever they're doing is going to be sustainable and doing the right thing. What's interesting, as an example and very close to home, was AFC Bournemouth. So AFC Bournemouth brought back James Hill from a loan at Blackburn because of really low defensive numbers. So Kirkez is out. I know Max Aarons was out for a little bit. Adam Smith was out. Senesi was suspended. So that back four that played, or five, how they did it in the end, against Liverpool, three of them were not regular starters for Bournemouth. And instead of going into the market, they've pulled back somebody that had zero Premier League experience and chucked him straight in against Liverpool. And now now he's played in the Premier League. Once you've played for 2 teams in a season, you can't play anywhere else. So it's not like they've brought him back to send him somewhere else. He's now going to be sat on the bench every week. So you wonder who's going to be out for longer, what the situation is there. And generally, if Bournemouth haven't got a single loan player, you wonder how the loan market can help, or whether a loan market is even really, bar kind of the Calvin Phillips deal, and that's because of his astronomical wages is the reason why he's been loaned, really, isn't it?
Plus I think, don't forget, I think there's a definite link there, because he wants to go to the Euros. So the only way he'll go, I mean, we were probably saying that he probably would go, but the way he'll definitely go is by getting regular game time, and he's not going to get that at City. So I
think he'll do a great job at West Ham as well.
I do as well. I think he absolutely will, and I think it's a good move for him. And they also have the option to buy, don't they? Yeah. So it might be that, of course, he plays the rest of the season. He goes to the Euros, and then he's back at City next season. Who knows? But it's a good move, and I think that's fair play to City, actually, to let him do that, because they could have sat on him and said, no, you're not going anywhere. But I think they've got their squad is obviously so massive that they can, or they have the ability to
afford to do it.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think, credit where credit due with City. If a player doesn't want to be there anymore, or there is an opportunity for them to go and play football, they give them. Yeah, look at Zinchenko and Oli Palmer, Zinchenko and Jesus, Gundogan, whatever his name is. Gundogan went off to Bayern, off to Borussia Dortmund, didn't he? So he's at Barcelona. Sorry, get my facts right. So it is interesting, really, really interesting, and I wonder again.
Do you think that's the Pep effect? Do you think that's Pep that is that honest and says, I think you're right.
Honestly, if they could turn around tomorrow, Pep could turn around tomorrow and say he wanted to sign you, Ben, and
he'd get a good deal from me.
He'd get the backing.
Yeah.
You'd end up paying him.
I'd do a job for him.
But he'll get the backing. Do you know what I mean? He's that trusted, and he's in that position now that he's an absolute guru, isn't he? Like he's a god. That it makes sense, and he doesn't make many mistakes, does he? If you look at their signings and the money that they do spend, they can just chuck 60 million at
he's very honest with the players. He says to them, look, I want you to do this. If you're not quite there, you won't be in the team. And he's that honest. And I think that's why he's like, you're not going to get in the team. So if you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. So fair play to him. I think that's the way you should be, not just keep people because you might need them at some point.
Yeah. He was very honest about Calvin Phillips in an interview as well. He said he apologised to him. And said that he was sorry that it didn't work out, and that they'd spent kind of wasted his career for a year and a half or 2 years, whatever he's been there. And Calvin Phillips can sit back and look at all the medals he's won, but he wants to play football, doesn't he? Like I'm sure when he looks back, he will look back on fondness in his time at City, and he's got names on trophies. He may have only appeared a couple of times in each of those competitions, but I'm sure he wants to play football, and he's one of those players that is, as you were talking about, Southgate's trusted kind of alumni. And if he plays, if he's available, then he'll go and get minutes. So he'll probably be a starter if he does well at West Ham. I can't see why not.
I would think so. Yeah.
Him and Rice as a deep line, and let Bellingham be Bellingham. I think that's how I see it happening, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. But I think going back to the transfer thing, I think January is always a funny one, isn't it? Because people don't want to pay through the nose for players that could or couldn't do the job for the next 3 or 4 months. So I think what usually happens, I know we spoke about it before, Jack, is there's the domino effect, isn't there? If someone big does go, you get the domino effect where they move for someone to bring them in, and then that player gets someone else in, and so you get sort of half a dozen. It's a bit like a house sale chain. You get like people are lined up ready to move if that happens. So
you're right. Yeah,
we might see in the next week or so a few names thrown around and see what happens. But sorry, there was another one. Werner was the other one that went into Tottenham.
Again, he's a loan though, isn't he? Loan with the option to buy.
Of course.
They've not committed immediately. No. I'm just googling as we speak. I think from memory, Gareth Bale was a January transfer.
When he went from where? Tottenham back? When he went from Tottenham to Madrid, or when he went?
Yeah, when he went to Tottenham to Madrid, and I think it became that was a catalyst for other transfers, including inadvertently Ozil joining Arsenal.
Right.
obviously coming away from Real Madrid, and they had to free up money or whatever they needed to do with that. So it's probably one of the biggest I can remember. But do we think the January transfer window has the possibility of dying out? Do you think they'll?
No, I don't think it will, because it's generally
do away
there.
with it.
No, I don't think so, because it's generally there from a injuries point of view, isn't it? I think because of the pressure that's on a lot of the squads from the amount of games they play, that teams do get riddled with injuries. So I think that was the original idea behind it, was to be able to reinforce your squad if you needed to at that time in the season.
Bit of a panic transfer window more than anything.
Yeah. I think would it go? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you could say, yeah, we're only going to have one transfer window a year, but then you'd have it'd be a bit bonkers. You'd have loads of people in squads just in case.
Yeah.
So
not getting game time,
I don't quite.
Or
know
do they open it up with there's no window? You just can't play for more than 2 teams in a season.
One transfer at any time.
Yeah, transfer at any time.
That creates financial instability, though, doesn't it? And that gives power. That gives more power to the agents and the players, because they can just go, "You're not playing me, I'm off."
Yeah.
So I think that would cause quite big ructions. So I don't know if that would ever come into fruition. There might be something along those lines, but I think the whole window is put in place specifically because of that, so that you can't just come in and, the teams with all the money come in and take all the best players and gazump people and offer them extra amount of money to come and play and blah blah blah. That's why it's there. So I'd be surprised if it did get squashed. But there's another transfer as well. Trippier's gone, right? Trippier's gone.
Oh, he hasn't gone yet.
He hasn't gone yet. No, okay. That's
no, they keep. Confirmed. I think he's had a second. Bayern Munich have had a second bid rejected for him.
Right.
But Bayern Munich seem to be on a bit of a spending spree.
They're panicking.
Do you think? I know that is definitely a club that is run right, though, isn't it? They're not going to be in a situation that they're looking at financial fair play issues. I'm sure of it. And Germany, they have to have a majority fan ownership, isn't it? Right. Yeah, 51% is owned by fan groups, if that makes sense. So that's
the Tuchel effect.
It's well done over there. Yeah, quite possibly the Tuchel effect. It is well done over there.
It is.
One I keep seeing that's flashed up a couple of times is Almiron leaving Newcastle. So Newcastle, obviously Trippier was spoken about there. It looks like Joe Linton might be moving as well, because he's not signing a new contract, and his contract's due to expire next summer. So the likelihood is, as we've just said, selling a player in January is relatively difficult. So he's not like to go this January. I think he's injured potentially for the rest of the season as well.
Right.
So he's not like to go this January. Then the only opportunity really is him to go next summer, or this summer coming, before he goes for nothing next year if he's not signing a new contract. So there's a player that potentially moving. The other one is obviously Almiron, but he's been linked with a Saudi club.
Right.
So they'll probably get something like 100 million from a Saudi club that they end up being owned by Newcastle anyway.
Yeah, quite.
There we go. That gets us out of financial fair play trouble.
Yeah. No insider trading going on there, eh?
I'm not shouting anything from rooftops just to get beheaded, but there's a chance it might be something a little bit dodgy to look at it now. I can't be sure, and I know it's only speculation, but it seems a little fishy. And interesting that Almiron would want to leave Newcastle at the moment. He's loved there, and
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Now they're Saudi owned, like you say. I mean, they're going to start expecting results, right? They're going to be looking at the City model and going, this is where we want to be. And getting to the Champions League this season was massive, absolutely massive for them. Okay, it didn't quite work out for them, but they're going in the right direction. I think Eddie Howe's got them going in the right direction. Is it going to be quick enough for them? That's probably the question.
I think they're well ahead of schedule, really, with it. I think they hit the ground running so quickly.
Yeah. You would think
so well so soon.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Definitely. Well, she got on the list, Ben.
So that's the way it transfers. I say so. AFCON, a little bit about AFCON. What do we think about it? The standard of football and officiating. I mean, I've got to be honest. I haven't watched any of it. I haven't had time really. But it looks like there's some bigger teams have gone out, and the smaller teams seem to be doing very well. But I don't know. Open it up to you boys. What do you think? Have you watched much of it?
I've cast an eye over it a little bit. I've not sat and watched a full game. I've looked at fixtures and results. Generally, most mornings I have a little look at what's happened the night before across most leagues, just out of interest, really. And it would definitely appear that the kind of higher back teams, the teams that were expected to do well, seem to be falling by the wayside a little bit. It seems a tournament for the underdogs at the moment, which is never a bad thing. I don't think. I think it's makes it more exciting. The standard of officiating, from memory, I think the last one was a bit of a farce.
Pretty
as well.
ropey.
Remember?
Yeah,
it was.
I don't know the
stopped
exact
a game
time,
10 minutes early or something, wasn't it?
That was it, 10 minutes early, yeah, and then ended up having to come back out to finish the game. And,
yeah.
And the pitches are always a bit of a mess, and it's interesting. It's in the Ivory Coast, isn't it? And I think the hosts are out as well.
They went out yesterday.
Yeah.
So like Mauritius or Mauritania or some real like minnow that knocked them out, and they weren't happy.
I think they were quite high favourites as well. I saw Chrissy Houghton got sacked as well. I can't remember who was he in charge. We're going to have a little quick ganders through the results. He was in charge of no, I'm going to get it wrong. I won't guess it. But Chrissy Houghton was in charge of one of the teams.
Was he?
And he got sacked after they got
going out. Nigeria,
was
it?
It might be Nigeria. Yes, I think it probably was Nigeria. Yeah. So, interesting times. I think not enough of it's been watched by any of us to give a full opinion on it, if I'm completely honest.
No.
But from an outside looking in, it's interesting to say the least. And I must admit, I've not even had a look at the Asia Cup at all. I wouldn't even be able to tell you how that's even gone. So,
no.
Well, I guess watch this space. I think Josh probably would have had something to say on it. I know he's clued up with his football too, so that'll be interesting. Anything else? Any other business?
Not really on the football. There's a few fantasy football tips if anyone's interested.
Yeah, go on.
I'll do a little bit of fantasy football. I was just step into Josh's shoes on the fantasy one. I'm by no means as much of a guru as he is, but I am holding my own currently in the fantasy football Man v Fat fantasy football league. Mike, are you in there? Have you got a team in there?
No, I don't think I have.
Didn't do it. Fair enough. So you'll be bored shitless in the next 5 minutes.
I used to do one with family years ago, but then obviously time took over and I just couldn't keep doing it, changing teams, so I stepped out of it. But
it can if you ask Josh, it's a full-time job, mate. The way that Josh is,
it is. Okay, well I've got
relentless with it.
Yeah, Josh has given me a few things. So anyone who is interested, I'll give you his little take on the next week. So the deadline for the next game week is next Tuesday. Okay, there's no games over this weekend, so there's a few.
Weekend,
eh?
Oh, you wouldn't know. Yeah, it's FA Cup weekend.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the FA Cup is, mate.
Yeah, fair play, Jack. Got that in there.
Right, sorry. So so Trent and Haaland are likely to be back. Kudus and Onana are likely to be back as well because I think their teams have gone out, and Salah is probably out for a few weeks. We don't know how long yet, but I mean he would have been away longer, but he's injured. But he is recommending to save your chips until double and blank game weeks where possible. So any replacements that you could bring in for Salah's best options: Foden, probably the best option if you don't already have him. And Bowen, of course, is back fit. So, but he has got a couple of bad fixtures to come.
Yeah.
Jota, I think, would be the most obvious replacement within Liverpool if you want to go for a Liverpool player. But Josh is saying he's not sold on him. There's bad fixtures. Mins are likely okay, but not great. And just be careful because he had a really good week this week. Doesn't mean he's going to do that every week. Again, same sort of similar thing with De Bruyne. De Bruyne is a good option, but again, not sure on minutes. Some people are saying, "Oh, yeah, well, only needs 20 minutes," but it's not really the best strategy for FPL to take people with limited minutes on, and they will ease him back in. He's not going to. I mean, before he got injured, he was only really playing sort of 60 minutes a game anyway, so difficult one.
Jota's been rested tonight as well. They've got Fulham in the
Right.
Carabao Cup semi-final, and he's on the bench. He doesn't look like he'll probably get much game time at all.
So that means he will play next week, I would say.
He'll play in the cup, and then
they're still in the FA Cup, are they?
And they've got Arsenal coming up as well, and he always plays well against Arsenal. Okay. So it might be one player that I would look at.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I was looking at him. I was looking at him before this game week, and I kind of wished I'd done it. But at the same time, I'm still trying to hang on to Salah and Son. But now Salah's injured, then he'll probably have to go. Who else has he got here? Eze, bad team but good fixtures, and he's a nailed-on player, and he also is on pens, etc. So he's a good shout. Richarlison.
Good shout.
He's kind of your obvious Tottenham shoe-in, but there's a blank, I think, in game week 26, and Son and Maddison will probably be back before then. So Saka, not sold on his impact, but he is in a good team. Martinelli's kind of the same. Saka's not done much actually the last few weeks.
No,
so maybe it's time to kind of move him on. Yeah,
he has gone quiet.
Martinelli popped up with a couple of goals, very late goals this week.
You wouldn't have called that, would you?
Trossard started over him.
Yeah.
But that could be the catalyst to kick him on. He two good finishes as well, two near identical finishes. But yeah, hopefully that is what we're looking for as Arsenal fans, to at least one of them kick back into gear. And
the thing with Martinelli is an interesting one, because he had a really good season last season, didn't he? He was starting most games, but yet he seems to have dropped out of the first team selection in recent times. Why do you think that is?
Based on form, I think Arteta growing in this role and understanding that he can drop players based on form, although Saka seems to be the one player that seems to be immune from that. He did suggest in the pre-game interview at the weekend that Martinelli was nearly fit, and he was like not quite there. So he said we didn't want to take any risks. Trossard started, Trossard scored, played relatively well. Thank God they took Trossard off corners. His corners were fucking awful. Couldn't beat the first man. And what he actually did is had more impact on corners than he has all season taken them, by actually becoming a bit of a decoy and a block. In the week, I don't know if you saw Match of the Day, but they proper did a deep dive into what Arsenal were doing from corners and how well they did it, and they put Declan Rice on the in-swinging right-hand corners, which I was quite surprised about. Obviously, his aerial presence and whatever else, but he did well, and a couple of goals from set pieces, which is really good. So Martinelli certainly one to keep an eye on. I think I wouldn't bring Saka in if you don't have him, and I would consider getting rid of him if you do.
You could throw a right curveball in.
You heard it here. Jack said it.
It was a hat-trick next week. Go on, Mikey.
I'll keep him in.
Throw a curveball in it. You can put like Christopher and Nkunku, like that. Cole Palmer.
Oh. Yeah. Well, Palmer. I think Palmer. Most people have Palmer because he's cheap anyway, and he's obviously one of Chelsea's best player at the moment anyway, and he's also on pens. So I think for the most part, he's one of them players that's emerged through the season as being a must-have, and he's because he's cheap as well. He's only 5. I think he was 5.4 when he started. I don't know what he's at now, 5.7, something like that. But yeah, most people have Palmer. Another option if you want to kill yourself, Fernandes.
No.
Yeah, again,
get him in.
Did he put that in there?
He's put that in there just to wind you up, probably, mate.
Fucking wind up. Yeah.
And the other one is Bernardo Silva for Mins. He's got minutes and he's got an upcoming double game week. But he says he's not the threat that the others are, and I beg to differ on that. I think Bernardo Silva's been one of City's best players, but that might be in the absence of De Bruyne. With De Bruyne coming back, he might have less of an attacking threat because he tends to sit a bit deeper when De Bruyne is playing.
It'd be interesting to see who City are playing in the double game week, because
it's Brentford, isn't it? It's Brentford and I can't remember. Brentford is the second game.
Brentford
definitely.
And Bournemouth.
There you go, Brentford and Bournemouth.
Definite goals, definite points there, really, isn't it? I think it's the 20th. Yeah, looking at it's the 20th and 24th. Yeah. So,
but you do have to be careful because Man City are renowned in double game weeks for rotation.
Pep
and that's always been the difficulty with City, because he changed 6-7 players, and they're probably his 6 best players.
It's got the ability to do that.
Yeah, because there's so much strength in depth. So I'm always a little bit dubious of City in double game weeks, but we'll see. So the double game week in 25. So his priorities getting rid of Salah if you haven't already, and then just making moves ahead of big weeks to come. So there's a double game week in 25, City and Liverpool. But there's a blank game week in 26. Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs and Luton have all got blanks in 26, so you have to be a little bit careful there. And that's basically it. So that's Josh's fantasy football roundup done by my good self, and hopefully there's some tips in there. The league is going well. So Mikey, next time, mate, get yourself involved. It's a bit of hard work, but so there you go.
Yeah, I tell you what, that it's absolutely flown by, and that's testament to Mike's story and how easy it's been to listen. It's such an inspirational story again.
Definitely, it's fantastic.
Everyone's a different story, but everything seems to be really positive and in the right direction. And you keep doing what you're doing, mate. You're a top bloke, and fair play. Hopefully, you're lifting that trophy.
Yeah, I'll have to get it down off the shelf.
That's the plan. Yeah, dust him off and polish it up for us, mate. We'll have it Friday. Yeah.
Do you know what, mate? If Greens win the league, the Greens will be the first team to appear on this trophy 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2 of which was me and you, wasn't it, Ben?
We'll take that.
Once with us.
Oh yeah.
Once with us. Once with Rams, he was captain, and then it'll be.
Oh yeah, Super Rams.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that.
Yeah.
No, great bunch of guys. We deserve it. They fully deserve that.
You do, mate. You've been absolutely smashing the weight loss, and no one can get near you. So I mean, fair play. And we know now that, well, we know anyway, but it cements the fact that it is completely about dedication, commitment, and being committed to that, losing that weight, because you guys have just absolutely smashed it. So you and Tim are doing a sterling job in guiding the rest of your guys through the darkness. Yeah. So well done,
that last push to it. I mean, let's say not just us, but everybody in that club, that, from the start, so many people that, have been there from the start, Neil and that, and it comes such a long way, and it's great to see. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and hats off to everybody. Just keep going, guys. Keep going.
Fair play, buddy. Thanks, mate.
Amazing, mate. Awesome. Thank you, boys. Thank you for a lovely evening, and we'll see you Friday night.
We will, for some more fun and frolics on the freezing cold football pitches of Two Rivers, mate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Peace out.
All right, boys.
Cheers, chaps.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.